Please don't misconstrue this video as a mockery of vulnerability. In fact, my aim is quite the opposite. It's just that the anecdote behind the creation of Mother I Sober is one of the most vibrant insights into the creative process of a true living legend. In case you don't already know the backstory, back in 2024, Kendrick had an interview for Bazaar magazine conducted by ZZA, in which they spoke about their experience as well as their parents' experience growing up Black in the United States.
I've been going through.
They reflect on social hardships like the invulnerable masculinity of Kendrick's dad or the shielded femininity of SZA's mom, both forms of being bounded by this expressive captivity. And in a moment of trusting openness, SZA asked Kendrick, "When was the last time you cried?" To which he responded, "Probably on Mother I Sober. That was deep for me." And to me, that moment highlighted several things. First, his vulnerability during the interview, the embodiment of the end of generational trauma, and potentially even the highlight of his career as a musician. So why bring this up at all? Well, the challenge I've taken on with this Ardent Artist series is to attempt to peek into the inner workings of some of history's most acclaimed artists. And so far, we've learned that the one common denominator that separates the titans, the legends, from the potential has-beens is authenticity. We've seen how authenticity manifests in their personal brand, in their socio-political ideals, and more importantly, their artwork. At the end of the day, I'm trying to create this curated database of some of the best approaches to take if you, the viewer, want to ever embark on a creative journey of your own. Rest assured, I'm trying to put my money where my mouth is as well. In Kendrick's case, he uses his life world as his main source of creative output. In case you've forgotten, life world refers to the distinct lived experience of a human being, the path you and only you have traversed throughout your life, the experiences that have shaped, taught, tormented, and absolved you. Kendrick uses his personal history to guide the decisions he makes on his records, from the topics he explores to the very mindset he puts himself in to deliver an excellent vocal performance. He talks about this technique, a form of emotional archiving, where he tries to retain the emotional state he felt while writing lyrics in preparation for his performance. He does this through extensive note-taking and voice memos. He really tries to give himself a reminder of what a specific poetic line meant to him, what it made him feel, so when it's time to record, he can place himself back on that mindset. That is not to say he over-rehearses his material at all. He's practically known for the improvisatory feel that a lot of his work has. And he achieves this balance by what he calls the 80-20 rule, where he prepares 80% of the way through a performance and allows himself to be spontaneous in the other 20%. There's actually a very charming anecdote that illustrates this spontaneity. In 2016, while recording his record Untitled on Master, he ran into a major creative block. And while taking a break, producer Swizz Beatz' son, Egypt Dean, who was 5 years old at the time, held a lengthy conversation with Kendrick about his life and creativity. Of course, a child is very limited in the amount of insight they can bring into a conversation, but Kendrick found profound inspiration in their exchange. So much so that Egypt actually has a production credit in Untitled 07. Cool story. To best illustrate this creative awakening, I think we ought to take a closer look at Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. A piece of music I have taken in as almost a church confession. It's riddled with guilt and resolution, especially the previously mentioned track, Mother I Sober. Listening to the record, I couldn't help but keep replaying the song over and over. It has such a different energy from the rest of the album. It generates this solid, unbroken stream of tension, slowly growing to a climax. It kind of lacks those sharp corners, those swift shifts in groove and mood that he's so known for. His spontaneous nature is displayed almost exclusively through his vocal performance. A performance that is barely rhythmic. It almost sounds like recited poetry. A curation of sensitive decisions converging into a strong point of aesthetic unity. You know, that emotional place from where an artist with strong sensitivities will make all their decisions from. It's essentially the vibe of the song. But his strong aesthetic decisions extend beyond his own performance. Swizz Beatz mentions how they were very, very deliberate when choosing who to feature in the album. Kendrick seemed to really think deeply about what artist embodied the feeling or qualia he was trying to evoke. You know, that metaphysical quality that our personal experience associates with any occurrence, like the feeling of a bright red sunset, for instance. Mother I Silver features not one, but two legendary musicians. First, Beth Gibbons, the lead singer from one of my all-time favorite bands, Portishead. If you have not heard the rip, you are totally missing out. Kendrick was apparently also a big fan of Portishead and loved the ethereal quality of Beth's vocals. The way they sit on the arrangement is so unique. Her singing is almost like the internal subjective experience he feels as he meditates his thoughts out loud. I wish I was somebody, anyone but myself. She almost sounds like the ghost of his guilt. The second feature artist is Thundercat, who, if you're into modern jazz fusiony stuff, you definitely know who he is. He's really taken the lead as one of the most transformative bass players in recent years, playing with new jazz legends like Domi and JD Beck. And tons of others, but I really like Domi and JD Beck. It's interesting to me how both these artists are titans in their respective genre, but they have such an understated role in this song. There's a great deal of restraint, a certain discipline behind such bold artistic decisions. It's like cooking a steak medium rare. If you go over by a minute, the whole thing is ruined. Kendrick trusts his taste to get things just right. As someone who has taught music from the classical lens, this is a sort of artistic discipline you expect from a classical performer. There's this constant questioning of, is this too much? Is this too little? Is this enough? A chase of excellence that aims to get as close to perfection as possible, creating by result an artwork that is as sound as perfectly tempered steel. It's no wonder he became the first rapper to win the Pulitzer Prize in music. He was the man that Tupac, Dr. Dre, and Snoop Dogg passed their torch down to because they too saw something incredible rising in him. They saw the man who would for the first time bring rap music to a level that could be confidently described as art music, capital A art, ending decades of undervaluing the African American experience and cementing their culture as a worldly heritage. In the end, titles and awards are just titles and awards, but forget for a moment who he is and what he's won, and his music does retain its magic. His humanity is felt through his words, his phrasing, his breathing, his vocal timbre, and his energy in general. He's definitely quite a guy.